Imagine a scenario where a missing person solves the mystery themselves. These shocking real-life disappearances will leave you speechless because the people themselves cracked the case. From bizarre escapes to forgotten identities, here are 10 people who solved their own disappearance and how they did it. The disappearance and return of Steven Stainer. In 1972, 7-year-old Steven Stainer vanished while walking home from school in Merced, California. For 7 years, he was held captive by a man named Kenneth Parnell, who pretended to be his legal guardian. But in 1980, everything changed when Parnell took another boy, Timothy White. Steven, now 14, decided enough was enough. He risked everything by escaping with Timothy and walking into a police station in Ukiah, California. Steven's incredible bravery not only ended his own disappearance, but saved another boy from a similar fate. His story was later adapted into a TV miniseries titled I Know My First Name is Steven, which brought national attention to child abduction cases. The Forgotten Life of Edgar Latulip. In 1986, 21-year-old Edgar Latulip, who had developmental challenges, vanished from Ontario, Canada. Authorities feared the worst. But nearly 30 years later, in 2016, Latulip astonishingly reappeared. He had suffered a head injury shortly after going missing, which caused memory loss. While living under a different identity in St. Catharines, Ontario, he began recovering fragments of his memory. After piecing together his past and contacting authorities, DNA tests confirmed his identity. His reappearance stunned his family and investigators alike, proving that even the longest of disappearances can sometimes be solved by the person at the center of them. The curious case of Richard Hogland. In 1993, Richard Hogland vanished from his life in Indiana, leaving behind a wife and 2 sons. For 23 years, there was no leads until authorities in Florida arrested a man named Terry Smansky for identity theft. Turns out Smansky was actually Hogland. He had assumed the identity of a dead fisherman, remarried, and started a new life. The twist? Hogland had voluntarily disappeared, and it wasn't until the real Smansky's nephew started digging into family ancestry that the fraud was unraveled. Hogland's double life shocked everyone, but it was his own careless clues that eventually led to the rediscovery of his true identity. The man with amnesia. In 2004, a man was found unconscious behind a Burger King in Georgia, suffering from total amnesia. He didn't know his name, where he was from, or anything about his life. Going by the alias Benjamin Kyle, he lived without an identity for over a decade. But Kyle didn't give up. He became a vocal advocate for awareness around amnesia in missing persons, working with genealogists and DNA databases to trace his roots. In 2015, his true identity was uncovered: William Burgess Powell. He had disappeared from Indiana in the 1970s. His relentless determination helped him reclaim a lost life he had no memory of. The teenage escape of Walter Collins. In 1928 Los Angeles, 9-year-old Walter Collins disappeared, sparking national attention. Months later, a boy was found in Illinois claiming to be Walter. His mother, Christine Collins, immediately knew the child wasn't hers, but the police insisted otherwise. The twist? The boy was actually 12-year-old runaway Arthur Hutchins, who impersonated Walter for a chance to go to Hollywood. When pressed, Arthur confessed to the ruse, effectively solving the return of Walter Collins. Unfortunately, the real Walter was never found. Though sad, the case remains famous because the imposter exposed one of the bizarre mishandlings in missing persons history: the Disappearing Groom. In 1962, George Wright escaped from prison in New Jersey and vanished. By 1972, he had resurfaced under a new name and even hijacked a plane to Algeria with the Black Liberation Army. After that, he lived quietly in Portugal for decades. The surprise came in 2011 when authorities, tipped off by fingerprints and facial recognition, located him living a normal life. Though his original disappearance was criminal, it was Wright's own careless slip-ups and partial cooperation that confirmed his identity. Wright's case is one of the wildest examples of someone inadvertently helping solve their own vanishing act. The Vanished Heiress. In 1929 Arkansas, Connie Franklin disappeared. But when her body was found, things got weird. Just as the trial was underway, a man claiming to be Connie Franklin walked into the courthouse. He proved his identity through handwriting, knowledge of family details, and even recognized friends. It turned out he had fled the area due to fear and started over in another town. The trial was dismissed and the town was left stunned. It was one of the earliest and strangest cases of a man solving his own death. The Canadian cold case of Alan Mann Jr. In 1987, Alan Mann Jr. took his own son and disappeared, vanishing from Canada entirely. For years, no one could find him, but Mann didn't disappear entirely. He created a new identity, Haley D'Souza. Incredibly, decades later in Connecticut, his own inconsistent records caught up with him. When officials became suspicious, fingerprint analysis revealed his true identity. He had been living in plain sight, even using public benefits. It was Mann's own trail of paperwork that eventually solved the decades-old case of his disappearance. The Long Walk Home, John Darwin. In 2002, John Darwin faked his own death in a canoeing accident in the UK. His wife even claimed life insurance. But after living in a secret room next door and then abroad for 5 years, Darwin reappeared in 2007, walking into a police station claiming amnesia. Investigators quickly found photos of him and his wife in Panama, proving he had staged the whole thing. Ironically, Darwin solved his own disappearance by coming forward and lying about it, only to get caught by his own digital trail. The man who didn't know he was missing. In 2002, 5-year-old Julian Hernandez was reported missing in Alabama after being taken by his father during a custody dispute. For over a decade, he lived under a new identity in Ohio, excelling in school and unaware of his past. It wasn't until he applied for college in 2015 that things unraveled. His social security number didn't match up. After digging into the issue with a school counselor, they discovered that he was on the National Missing Persons list. Julian's own desire to go to college left him solving the mystery of his own life, revealing a hidden past he never knew existed. And that's it for this video. Drop a like on it, leave a comment for the algorithm, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching.